Pinky, what is that?
This is a peach that fell today.
That's from the tree?
Yes, sir.
In the duck pen?
Mm-hmm.
Smell it once?
It smells super good.
Does it? Are there any turning colors up in the tree?
Mm-hmm. And then this one was turning color, but it fell.
Oh man, it's pretty soft.
Yeah. They eat them every morning.
Really? Boy, that's a beautiful peach right there. Oh man, wow.
I don't know if it's sweet though. I don't know if that's sweet.
Yeah, it smells fantastic.
Come on, go down.
We'll have to wait till next year to try them ourselves. You know what we can do though? We can have a friend try some and see what they think. Oh man. Red, did you see this? Come check this out. And you guys are each running around with your own kittens this morning?
Yeah, this is the boy, so we're trying to get him used to our property.
Okay, smell that.
It smells really good.
Do you know where it came from? The duck pen, yeah. That tree that was grown from a seed. And when they eat those, they'll leave behind the seeds. So we might keep an eye on that stuff. Because that's our future generation of peach trees.
Yeah.
We could literally plant fruit tree orchards in our pastures and let our animals graze underneath and have fruit above in shade. What do you guys think?
That would be cool.
That's one thing. Like honestly, when you go to some of the orchards, hey, animals, oh, he don't like those kitties. Or she don't like those kitties. When you go to some of those orchards, a lot of the trees are pruned up to about like this height or so. They're spread out, you know, they're not producing fruit lower than that. And then they've got all sorts of lawnmowers and weed whacking and stuff going on underneath, man. I would just fence the thing in. Probably a couple different, you know, simple fences. Have some big gates so you can still get your, you know, trucks up and down. But I would totally just graze the whole thing with sheep. We might do that as we move forward. I'm kind of establishing some of that already. That is amazing though. I really like that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm gonna have to go check that peach tree in a bit.
Yeah, it's super full. Well, yeah. What do you want me to do? Do it to the back? Put it all down here.
I'd save it and let Mom smell it first.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
That's a good idea.
But I gotta build an underground forest.
Ow. Come here, Xenia.
Did you take the pit out?
No, I'm going. Here, eat this first. Then can you help me open it?
Peachy.
You need to swallow your thing. Alright, there you go through. Come on, keep it in your mouth. Can you open it? Here, let me go in and give it to her. Yeah, there, she's eating it. I never knew this was a bait.
Wow.
There, she ate it.
Red Pepper just found a gate here. She didn't know there was a gate here.
Did you know?
I must have made it. You know what? It looks like it got busted through at some point. And then I just put clips on it. So I don't think it was an intentional gate, but it certainly is. I will take the grinder or sawzall and cut all these little pokers off. And then we can use it more.
Someone wants to eat the rest of Xenia's peaches. Yes.
Oh, you guys know about that? Cows and sheep and stuff eating peaches?
They eat lots of different vegetables. She likes to eat potatoes and turnips and banana peels.
Yeah.
And tomatoes. Oh, yeah. Our sheep want tomatoes.
Cool. I had no idea this was going to go as well as it did. This is insane, and actually, we didn't realize what was actually going on over here. So we knew for a while, a lot of big peaches on this tree. And peaches can ripen to different colors. There's some that are more pale, some that are more vibrant orange, some that are more red, some that are more two-tone. But if I come in here right now and look at some of these, like this guy behind me, that's actually ready. It's really soft to the touch. It's very nice. As I even was like 10 to 15, well, 15 feet away from the base of it at least earlier, I could just smell ripe peaches like crazy. And, you know, there's an example. Not every peach ripens like that, but when I feel this, it feels amazing. And there's so many up there. Just look at all those guys. And of course they happen to show up on the year we're not gardening. And Pinky came out earlier, and she figures she might have picked up like half of the seeds all over the ground. See, here's another one, here's another one. Are all the seeds of these guys that keep falling to the ground. That's a lot of stones from these stone fruits. Oh, this guy. There's a guy coming over right now. I may get the opportunity to introduce you to him, but I thought he'd be perfect for this, and you'll see why. So I decided to live more in the moment when my friend came over. Just let him enjoy. Look over there. On that board, there's a board there. There's a pile of peach pits, and some of the peaches around there have actually been nibbled off by, wow, look at that background behind me. Have actually been nibbled off by squirrels. A bunch of them. Wow, there's some really nice looking peaches over there. I'm gonna have to climb up there and show you guys too, but look at that behind me. I'm gonna take a thumbnail quick. We have never had a year like this. These smell so amazing. Wow, they're getting beautiful, some of these really are. See that coloration coming in there? They're fuzzy, they got that red coming in. Look at those two. Just beautiful. You got complete piles. There's so many on here. This is so heavy laden. And up in here too, that's like a, wow. With that sun coming in there too, that really captures some of what we got going on. This is incredible. And I'll tell you what too, like even my friend, he's not a peach fan by nature. Like, you know, peaches just aren't his thing, but he enjoyed them. He actually tried one of the wild plums that wasn't ready yet. It was kind of bitter and astringent in his mouth. Look at that up there. Oh. So he decided to, you know, bite some more peach to get that flavor out of his mouth. And in front of the children, he's like, oh, kids, He was kind of trying to make it seem not quite as delicious because we're choosing not to eat the produce of our land as we give it this year of rest, and we're allowing that to be for others. And as we do that, you know, he was kind of presenting it that way of, oh, you're not missing much, kids. So that they wouldn't feel as bad not having to eat or not being able to eat some of these amazing fruit we've got growing on our land. But I'll tell you what, a lot of life and a good training for life is sometimes denying yourself. As a spiritual people, there's a lot of lust of the flesh, a lot of enticements, a lot of temptations that we should really have nothing to do with. But the flesh wants to do them, and we have to resist. So this is just one simple way to teach our children that from a young age. And I mean, I just thought of it now, but isn't that kind of the original temptation that didn't work out so well? Not eating the fruit you weren't supposed to, and then they ate a fruit they weren't supposed to. Yeah, I've got no problem having examples that, you know, it may not always be lying or stealing or something else that you got to practice. You may not always have a strong urge to do those type of things, but to not have something that you really want, that's a good practice to resist temptation. I'm gonna come up here and see. Whoa, I'm almost tipping, guys. You guys are. So yeah, look at that. Squirrels. What's up with this guy? Yep, squirrel nibbled. See that? Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. And look at that. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Boy, some of these, it smells so good. That guy's a seriously good sized one there. And I did not do my spring pruning I was gonna do, like end of winter pruning. I didn't. So this tree's a lot bigger than I was hoping. But thankfully, I mean, these branches are super heavy, but thankfully they're not breaking, they're just drooping. And right now as these things are ripening, it's lightening the load. This is amazing. I can't wait to taste these myself. The smell is absolutely amazing. I just want to make like piles and piles of peach pies Oh, look at all those up there. This is incredible, guys. We've never had a year like this. And cool thing now too is that this tree is old enough and mature enough where, you know, even biblically speaking, we'd be eating from it. But this year it cranked out this harvest. Some others are going to be blessed by it. I'm kind of excited about that. Look at that. And then all these guys, this is what this was. Okay, like 6 years ago, that's what this was. 5 years ago, I guess, probably, is what that was. And it started sprouting up. My neighbor was brush hogging for some other people. You know, it wasn't his orchard. He was just being kind. Somebody else brush hogging it. There was a bunch of these coming up. I was given a certain amount of free reign over interacting with that piece of the property up there. And yeah, this one too came in at the same time. And what happened here is something chewed off. I think it was the chickens. They pecked off all the bark off of here. This thing was still growing, but then this whole thing died back. And this grew from the root. So this was a sucker essentially. And this one's therefore a little smaller, but it's still got peaches hiding up in here. And I think part of the success of this stuff right here, part of the reason these are doing so well, is that this is the duck pen. This is in the duck pen. They're walking around, they're not only eating the peaches right now that we don't get, oh, cute little baby ducks running, but yeah, mom and a dad and a couple babies running around there. But they're fertilizing this ground constantly. And they have a very high nitrogen fertilizer. Another male, big tex, couple females. Here we got some, man, that's a good sized peach. It really is. And then to know that these guys are good tasting too, that's so amazing. There's a good amount there, but this guy's smaller because his original head starting died back. There you go, little guy. And he kind of had to restart, but he's still got some stuff. So my goal in here is to have 4 fruit trees here out in the front of here. But then I kind of prune back and lollipop. Like I said, I let this one get out of control. So they can provide shade for the animals. The animals provide them with the high nitrogen fertilizer, which fruit trees like. I'm still just amazed at this guy too. You know, this is one of the wild plums I transplanted into there. And if these guys do good, then they do good, and that's awesome, and we enjoy it. And if for some reason they're not great, well, that's an amazing rootstock, and I'll graft some other varieties of plums into there. Same thing here. There's a smaller one that came in later. But in each of our poultry pens, I plan on having 4 different fruit trees. Here I have 2 peaches and 2 plums. On that perimeter, I have grapes. Grapes growing. Right outside of here is a service berry bush. Over here, marshmallow. Then in the chicken one, we got a wild persimmon right outside, which I may, graft some khaki, fuyu into it eventually. Look at this insanity. Wow, I mean, are you seeing that? Let me get my head out of here. I mean, they almost look the size of cherries right now. But there is just so many of these everywhere. Everywhere. Just beautiful. So many. Ha! I mean, this gives me a lot of hope for the future to see that much fruit hanging from one tree. And like I said, if for some reason this doesn't work out for us, then we'll graft into it. So I've got a plum there. Looks like a pear tree there. Mulberry there. And this here was another pear. It died back. It died back all the way to the rootstock. So now I see that the graft died. Here's where it was. The graft died. Here's where it was grafted. But this is the rootstock coming up. See when I wiggle it, it wiggles with it. So I'll let that grow up and then graft into it. I might block that off so they don't peck it to nothing. Hey, little duck. Everyone's got kind of a free range right now. A lot of the cages are open. Oh, and they cut through them. Look at that. They're cutting through them right now. So besides that, I started this experiment of the thornless blackberries in between the pens, which they grow really good. And then you see at the bottom, we're gonna put some mulch over here, but it is just a fish skeleton graveyard down there. Look at how many dead fish are there. Now we ate the meat, they pecked them clean, then we put them here, and I'm gonna mulch on top of that and just let that continue to work its way down and be a fertilizer for them as time goes on. And then on this side is where I've got the thornless blackberries growing. I'm gonna put a couple rows of thornless blackberries and then probably a row of grapes where I treat them more like you'd see at a vineyard, which again I consider to be kind of a lollipopped thing where you have your main, grape stem growing, your main trunk, and then just kind of a little bit of branching out that you cut back every year. Wow, this is insanity. I'm gonna take some photos of that later, at least to document and remember how things were. And then in the first pen here, let's see what kind of 4 we got here. We got some stuff, some peach trees and blueberries and pears and stuff growing behind me. But here we've got a mulberry, okay? Then we also have another wild plum. Then we also have another pear. And there's pears outside of here too. One thing I learned from Shalom Acres was pear cider vinegar. And I can't wait to make my own. And then this is one of the nut trees. Looks like I think it's a hickory. We cut it back, but it's regrowing. So I might just let that grow. I'm not sure. If I do cut it back, it'll be for smoking. But the other one I learned from Shalom Acres, was planting the elderberries next to your poultry, so when it rains, they get fed. You guys saw the last, or one of the previous videos, I was sharing about those, and those were pretty awesome. But we've never had a year like this. Of course, it just so happens to happen on the year we're not gardening ourselves. That's fine. Yeah. Thornless blackberry, mulberry, elderberry. Cow, milk cow, morning and night. And here's the wild persimmon I let grow just because it was doing all right. Like I said, I might graft some Asian varieties in some of ours. But that's kind of how this thing is transitioning. I'm seeing if I can have the fruit trees work with the poultry. And eventually, I want to have more of the fruit trees working with our sheep too, where our pastures are actually small orchards. And we'll have trees kind of like this, where this persimmon, it starts about here. Underneath, they can graze, if this is on our pasture, and have their urine and their manure hit the ground. And then the fruit tree can grow up and over, get all the riches that they're leaving in the soil, be up and kind of pruned back enough that they still have access to the sunlight, the grass and stuff beneath it, and then we get food from the top. That's going to be awesome. And even, with those little plums, with the peaches now, stuff that we don't catch in time, it just becomes another good food source for our animals, because they like eating that stuff. And then with the bees right here and stuff, we've actually had in that peach tree 2 times a swarm has landed in there, and they swarmed, and then we get the opportunity to try to catch them and enjoy them. So kind of interesting how in this life of homesteading, and here's one thing too, especially when you're applying some of the stuff that God says in the Bible, where you leave a fruit tree when you plant it, you count it as uncircumcised for the first 3 years. The 4th year, it's holy unto the Lord. Then the 5th year, you can finally eat from it. People even who don't believe in the Bible will say, well, it's best not to let it fruit for the first, good pile of years anyway. It's just amazing how that just happens to line up. But then you reach the year where it's like, okay, now I can finally taste of the harvest. And that's a beautiful time. And then you have times, or if you do the 7th year rest, that might line up with some of the first year you could have tasted from some of your stuff. Or, they don't produce well every year. So to have an absolutely amazing harvest. We never had grapes before like we had grapes this year. It was amazing, but it gives me hope for next year. And for the next, 7th year rest, where that previous year, hopefully we can get a really good harvest from a lot of stuff, give it a year off, and then come back in the following. But a good chance for us then to bless others too. 2 families got to make some jelly and syrup from our grapes. Couple families might start enjoying our peaches here. And just a good opportunity. And Bug, come here, man. What did the man say about our peaches?
They're super good.
They're super good. And what was he saying when he was trying to make you not feel bad?
I tasted yucky.
Ours tasted yucky. And he was saying that because they're really delicious, right? Mm-hmm. But you're just a little guy. And as a little guy, do you just, if we walk over there, can you smell how good that smells like great peaches? So what's that make you want to do?
Eat one.
Eat one. But this year, are we eating from our property?
No.
No. Now, do we get good peaches at the store?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We get good cheap peaches at the store right now. We really do. So, are you going to be able to resist, or are you going to go over there when no one's watching and eat peaches?
No.
You're not gonna? You're going to resist?
Yeah.
And is that good practice?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things in life that we don't get to do what we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to do what?
Obey.
Obey. You have to obey who?
Papa and Mama.
And then who else?
God.
God. He obeys Papa and Mama, and he obeys God, and he obeys us as long as we're not telling him to disobey God, right? Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for
And
this is right.
And is liars.
Yeah, Satan's lying, trying to deceive you. So, like I said, you know what the first one was? The first sin from mankind?
No.
God told Adam and Eve not to do what?
Eat from the garden of not fruit.
Right, to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? So he said, here's one tree, you don't eat the fruit of that. And what did they do?
They ate it.
They ate it. So is it good for you to practice not eating certain fruits now?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is. And guess what? How much better are they going to taste next year after a year of not eating them for obedience? Huh?
Really good.
Really good. And some people, they do eat the harvest from their property when they give it a year of rest. We're choosing not to. I can't tell you for sure, who's correctly interpreting that, but I have my reason that I believe the way I do. And actually, if you guys want, there's a whole spiritual food for thought channel that I also run just to focus on solely spiritual matters and point out different things from Scripture, bring up some different stuff that mainstream Christianity really doesn't agree with or believe, but I believe is accurate, and that's why we do it. So feel free to check that out too. But that's about a video here. It's amazing, the ones from the store, the fruit trees that I planted from the store, the peaches, they're not quite doing as well as this guy. And that's why that whole bucket of seeds, come here, Bug. What are we gonna do with that bucket of seeds?
Plant them.
Why are we gonna plant them?
Can we have more?
Yeah, we could have like 50 or 100 more peach trees like that. How happy would that be?
So happy.
So happy. And guys, that's one thing too. If you think about that many peach trees, do you think we'll be able to keep up with them and get all the right peaches ourselves? Or will it be too many?
There'll be too many.
It'll be too many. So what do we have to do then?
Let friends come over.
Let friends come over. We'll ask help from friends and bless them. And maybe they would pick some of our peaches and give us some canned tomatoes they grew or something. We could work out trades. But that's part of the abundant harvest homestead. I want this homestead to be so abundant, it takes care of all of us and blesses others. And you know what? Can everyone have some property, some land?
Yeah.
Well, does everyone?
Yes.
Does everyone own their own land?
Not all the people except for some people.
Some people do, but not all the people. So if people don't own their own land, can they plant their own fruit trees?
Yeah. No.
No, they can't. So they don't have the opportunity we have, do they?
No.
So we got to be a faithful steward of our opportunity that we can be a blessing to others. How's that sound?
Very good.
And do you think that's wise for me to live my life that way?
Yeah.
Do you think that's wise for me to set that example for you?
Yeah.
If you see the example of being a blessing when you're young and you're raised that way, and you're seeing, was our neighbor smiling and happy when he did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. You know the blessing of being a blessing. So anyway, we've never had a year like this for so many reasons. And isn't it amazing that the best harvest of some of this stuff ever shows up in the year we're not eating it? Ha!
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. We'll see you next time. What do we say?
Bye. Bugger out.